Now it's time for our Just Go hotspots. A quick look at some great places around Australia you might want to add to your travel bucket list. Now, you probably won't find yourself in Ceduna anytime soon, unless you really like driving. It's in the middle of the Nullarbor Plain and is the last town of any size in South Australia on the long haul to Perth. But the fishing here is fabulous. The locally farmed oysters are to die for, and the popular jetty provides the setting for the best sunsets you're likely to see anywhere. In fact, Ceduna was the #1 place in the world to view the total eclipse of the sun back in 2002. If you don't fancy travelling quite so far west, about an hour and a half back towards Adelaide, you'll find the oddly named Murphy's Haystacks. These wind-worn pillars and boulders of pink granite are thought to be over 1.5 billion years old, and from a distance can look like, well, haystacks. Another hour further east on the Eyre Peninsula, the small town of Alliston offers unspoilt coastal scenery and a honeycomb of caves etched into the local foreshore. Local artists have also carved their mark in the sand with some more than interesting sculptures that might leave you thinking you've travelled so far west, you've landed on Easter Island.
If you like a road trip about 5 hours northwest of Sydney, Dubbo might pleasantly surprise you with its broad range of things to see and do. This town of 42,000 people has an international flavour with a Japanese garden and many African residents. Okay, so most of those live at the world-renowned Taronga Western Plains Zoo, whose open-range design makes meeting these amazing creatures from all over the world even more enjoyable. A 6-kilometre track winds through the massive grounds, which you can navigate by car, bike, safari cart or on foot. Tours are available from early morning right through to evenings. Another popular Dubbo drawcard is the Royal Flying Doctor Service Education Centre. The life-saving history of this uniquely Australian enterprise has been lovingly preserved and placed on show for all to appreciate. Speaking of appreciation, you'll find some stunning examples of Indigenous artwork in some pretty unexpected places. Told you Dubbo would surprise you.
Now, if you're seeking time in the sun, there's plenty of reasons to make the Queensland capital your destination. Brisbane's easy to get around, and there are some interesting ways to explore the city from the vantage point of the Brisbane River. Kayaking during the day or at dusk is one of the best. For an elevated vista of the city, scaling the Story Bridge offers unparalleled views as long as you're not frightened of heights or some serious legwork. If you like climbing a bit closer to the ground, the Kangaroo Point Cliffs offer a variety of rock climbing options. But depending on your fitness and phobias, you might find it even more scary than the bridge. Now, it wouldn't be Queensland without a beach, and there's one right in the middle of town at Southbank. It is man-made, however. To enjoy sand and sea as nature intended, a short boat ride to Moreton Island and you'll find plenty of both. You can stay out of the water and still enjoy the adrenaline rush of surfing as you fly down these massive dunes on a board or toboggan. But the biggest thrill on the island, if you're staying at the local Tangalooma Resort, is a chance to feed wild dolphins by hand. It's a magical experience.
Just over 400 kilometres north of Perth, the port town of Geraldton is Western Australia's 4th largest city. A real icon is this yellow submarine, built in the 1970s to catch crayfish. But unlike the famous Beatles song, nobody actually lives in it. A more sombre nautical tribute is the memorial to the HMAS Sydney, sunk off the WA coast in 1941 by a German warship, with a loss of more than 600 lives. The imposing Dome of Souls and the reflective Pool of Remembrance are key features of this national monument to Australia's worst naval disaster. 200 k's south of Geraldton, the Pinnacles also have a maritime connection, although you'd never guess looking at their arid surrounds. These amazing natural limestone pillars were formed about 30,000 years ago after the ocean receded and left deposits of seashells. Spring is the best time to come for a look when the wildflowers are blooming and the weather is not too extreme.